Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I wanted to just try to attack this whole high value man, high value woman conversation that's been kind of going all over the internet. I think the baseline and where you have to start at is the word value. It's just very important that people understand that what's valuable to you may not be valuable to somebody else. And the easiest explanation for that, if I had to think of an analogy, would be if somebody was selling their house and they wanted 700,000 for their house, and a realtor was going through it with them, and the person is attached, and they're saying, well, I have a pool out back, I have a wine cellar in the basement, and going on all these things. And the realtor then has to kind of pull back the curtains and say, hey, listen, I know you value these things and you want more for them, but there's couples out here that won't buy a house with a pool if they have young children. So that's a detriment in terms of selling your house for a lot of people with little kids. If you have a wine cellar, it might not take away the value of the house, but if I don't drink, then you're not going to get anything extra. There's no added value that's being added to the house for me personally. If I don't drink, that's not a value add in terms of a house. So that's first, is defining what value is and understanding what may be valuable to you may not be valuable to somebody else. So let's talk about, when you talk about a high value man, the reason why it's a little bit easier with this whole terminology to understand what a high value man is very simply because women have no problem saying what a high value man is. I mean, we hear it every single day. Every time I'm on social media, all I hear is $100,000. I hear 6 feet tall. I hear, good physical shape, charisma. So essentially what's happening is a lot of men are walking around with a checklist of, as long as I hit these boxes, or I hit as many of these boxes as possible, I'm either close to a high value man, or I am a high value man. I mean, that's basically what's happening. Is there's a checklist that a lot of men are trying to check off. On the female side, it's a little bit more difficult, and the reason that it's difficult is because men don't necessarily say what they consider high value. I think the easiest way to explain it in terms of high value is if I use myself as an example. If my wife were to leave me, the question would be, how fast would I be able to, or how fast and how hard would it be for me to replace my wife with the attributes that I think are important in a wife? Now, to me, my wife is very high value. Like, the things that are important to me in terms of a mom, in terms of a wife, it would be, in my mind, it would be very hard for me to replace what I actually have. And so it's a little bit more difficult from that standpoint. But I think how women have to determine whether they're high value is very simply to say, go through a list of the things that you think you're valuable at, but then ask yourself, okay, I'm loyal. The reason that you're saying that that's valuable is because, one, you think that the other side, i.e. men, think that's important, but also is you're looking at other women and saying they don't have it. So everything that you're listing, how you have to look at it is, what is it that I have that other women don't have? So as a man, if I make $100,000, I know the percentage in terms of the population that makes over $100,000. So I can physically say, okay, I'm here, and I already know that it's going to be hard for you to replace me, because I know that, the percentages of men that make $100,000, and it's not a lot. As opposed to, on this side, you're saying, well, I'm loyal, whatever the case may be. Whatever you're saying, you have to look at it from a value standpoint of, other women don't have it. And so it becomes a little bit more difficult from that perspective. But ultimately, when you're talking about value, what it's really coming down to is you want to look at what it is that you find valuable, but what you also have to make sure is you're dealing with somebody who looks at what you provide as value. You know, if a person makes $100,000, like I said before, the fact that you can cook, the fact that you can clean, those things may not be important because they can outsource those things. Mentally in their mind, they're saying, well, I don't need somebody who can, you know, clean, you know, what we're hiring a house cleaner. You know, truth be told, when I was, you know, got married, my dad told my wife, as long as you have chicken and Captain Crunch in the house, my son will be happy. You know, I'm a very boring eater. My wife complains about it all the time. She'll say, you know, you literally eat the same thing or can eat the same thing every single day. So, you know, my wife being a great cook isn't, you know, something that would detract in our relationship. So it's just very important that people understand, you know, you understand what you're good at, your value, which is fine. But what you have to do is you have to find somebody else who looks at the things that you think are valuable. They have to find those things valuable in you. You know, because how I look at high value is very simply this: if that party left the relationship, how hard would it be for you to then replace the attributes that that person had, you know, in this world that we're in? I'm just curious to know, obviously, the commentary. You know, if you guys like the information, love a like over here. Interested in reading some of the comments and your thoughts. And as always, love you guys and stay positive.